What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast. Welcome to episode number 72, part 1. Today, we are breaking down 4 of the 8 week 2 matchups in the Bigs. With me tonight from New Jersey is Mike Haber. Mr. Haber, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well, Jason. Recovering from my hectic, stressful return to the school building today after a 10-day spring break. So it's tough getting back into it, but I'm so happy to be, finally relaxing for the evening and sitting down with you and looking back at this crazy week 2 that we just experienced in the Bigs.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. Sunday was just wild. We had 2 matchups finished in ties. We had 3 matchups separated by 1 stat.
Yeah.
It was just a crazy weekend. It's only week 2. I can't wait to see what else is in store for the 2023 season here in the Bigs. Let's break it down. But we're actually going to start here with not a close matchup. We're going to start with kind of a blowout here.
Yeah, and we were talking too about how Bobby was kind of in the Bob spot in the end. You know what? He made sure that he's out of the Bob spot right now.
He is out of the Bob spot. He is in second place. He took a 14-5 victory over Christian Wood. And honestly, it wasn't really close at all during the week. He had it on cruise control the entire week. The 14-3, 14-2, 14-5, 13-6, 15-3, 14-4. It was just
Wow.
it was a beatdown from Bobby this week. Close categories. Bobby wins by just 1 run. He wins by 1 error and 2 saves and 2 relief appearances. And Christian wins by 4 strikeouts by a batter, 1 win, and 0.01 ticks on the whip.
Ooh, so close.
Yeah. There were a couple of close categories that would have made a difference, and we'll get to it. Let's start with Bobby's bench. He did an interesting thing on Sunday, where, and we'll take a look here. He benched some of his guys, not all of his hitters, but he benched a few of them. So I honestly would love to know his strategy here and where his head was at. But if you take in consideration the benchings on Sunday, he went 10 for 43 with a 232 average, 7 runs, a double, 3 homers, 9 RBIs, 2 steals, 5 walks, and 12 strikeouts. None of it played because he won every single hitting category except for strikeouts. So you take out Sunday, it's a 7 for 26 at 269. Either way, great benching this week from Bobby. He knows what he's doing. So as long as he knows what he's doing, it's working, and you can't argue with the results.
Yeah.
His moves this week, he made 5. The best one I'll get to in a short minute. Let's look at his key players for the week. His most valuable player, Adley Rutschman, man, this kid is something good. He only hit 280 this week, but 10 walks. This guy walked 10 times for a 486 on base, 5 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, and only 2 strikeouts. So he walked 10 times and struck out twice.
Wow, really impressive.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. Corbin Carroll also had a nice week. I want to give him a shout out. He did have 2 homers and a steal with a 368 average and an on base. So, but he didn't walk once. So that kind of knocked him down a little bit. His least valuable hitter, I'm giving to Christian Walker, who hit 133 with a 125 on base, 1 run, a homer, 4 RBIs, and 1 strikeout. Not a whole lot going on from Christian Walker. Mm-hmm. I also call out Jake Cronenworth, who he started the whole week except for I think it was on Saturday. Cronenworth went off with 2 homers and 6 RBIs, and that's the one day that Bobby did not start him. Otherwise, he was garbage the whole week.
Yeah, actually, I'm noticing that as kind of a trend this week. Like a lot of players that had awful weeks were benched because of those awful weeks, and then they went off on the bench. It's like the one game they couldn't get him in.
It's baseball, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's the way it works.
Yep.
It's kind of twisted.
A little bit. Yeah.
For his Cy Young, I'm going with his pickup of the week, which was Johan Oviedo. This kid from the Pirates, taking on his former team, the Cardinals. 7 innings. He took the loss, but a walk, 10 strikeouts, a 1.29 and a 1 whip. Gave up 1 run over 7 innings to the Cardinals. And I mean, it sucks he plays for the Pirates. He's not going to get any run support, but great start, great pickup.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of this kid. I don't know if he's real. His next start comes here in Colorado. I probably wouldn't start him there, but we'll see what Bobby does with him.
Yeah.
And for his Cy Young, Hayden Wesneski for the Cubs, an inning and a third, a homer, 4 walks, no strikeouts, a 13.50 ERA, and a 6.75 WHIP. That was against the Mariners, and the Cubs just got shellacked by the Mariners that game on the 11th.
Yucky.
I do also want to call out that he also benched Aaron Nola on Sunday. He started him for this start. Was against Miami, where he did not do well. But then he benched him for this start in Cincinnati, where he did do well. It didn't really come back to bite him too much. The win would have tied the category, but whip was so close, and he did walk 3 guys. So you kind of eat it, I guess.
If he took the loss there, then that's a huge problem. So if you're up 14-5, I feel like that's probably a smart benching in week 2. You don't have to, go crazy.
Yeah, and especially in a hitter's ballpark like Cincinnati, it's not a bad benching.
Right.
For Christian this week on the bench, he went 3 for 24, which is just a $1.25. He did leave 4 runs. He only needed 2 to flip the category. 5 walks, 8 strikeouts. But I mean, the runs, you still have to be kind of perfect. He didn't leave anything egregious on the bench. There wasn't a guy sitting when the other team was out or something like that. It was just he struggled on Sunday. Just Jesse Winker was a late scratch. Nothing you could do there. So it was rough, but that's unfortunately not much you can do there.
Right.
He did make 8 ads this week. He picked up your friend Wade Miley. We'll get to him later, but he did not do. Yeah, well, Christian did not, because he was terrible when he picked him up for the Monday start against Arizona. Okay. Let's see. He picked up. He got the Domingo Germán start on Saturday against Minnesota, so he did make it up for by having him.
That's actually really funny, because I had the awesome Wade Miley start. He had the shitty one, and then we switched on Germán. That's kind of amazing.
That's actually really funny. He did add Brent Rooker Sunday just after the bell, so I guess that's a move for this week. For his key players, his most valuable hitter, there wasn't a whole lot. He didn't have a great offensive week, as shown by he didn't win in a single category except for strikeouts. So I'm giving it to Brandon Marsh. The guy hit 333 with 400 on base, 4 runs, a double, a triple, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. It was a good week. He added him on Wednesday, so he added him midweek, and he played well for him.
Okay.
And for least valuable hitter, pick your favorite. I'm kind of going with Jose Abreu here. He was awful. 115 average, a 148 on base, just 1 run, 1 double, 2 RBIs, a walk, 7 strikeouts, and an error. And I think that error, was that the error on Sunday? If that was his error, that ruined ruined my start for Framber Valdez.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the error on Sunday, and that threw Framber Valdez just off course and ruined my Sunday. But we'll get to that. For his pitching side, for Cy Young, I'm kind of giving it a tie because we talked about Herman, but Corbin Burns was finally good. 8 innings, shutout ball, win, 8 strikeouts, no walks, just like maybe 1 hit, maybe 2 hits. That was a great start against Arizona, and obviously the Herman start against Minnesota.
Yeah.
And the Cy Young, Chris Flexen. We talked about Hayden Wesneski getting shellacked by the Mariners. Well, Chris Flexen got shellacked by the Cubs. 2 1/3, a loss, 2 homers, 2 walks, strikeout, 30.86 ERA, and a 5.14 WHIP. I mean, that's just, how do you do that?
Yeah, that is not good.
You do that by allowing 8 runs on 10 hits over 2 1/3 innings.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look like Brady Singer had a really good start either.
No,
4 homers,
but he just got 8 strikeouts.
yeah, true. I mean, wow, that Flexen start is awful. And you know what? The Wade Miley start is not as bad as.
No, it wasn't terrible.
Yeah. All right.
And Evaldi wasn't very good either. But he also at least got 7 strikeouts.
Yeah.
So yeah, thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, it just seemed a little lopsided from the beginning. I think Christian was a bit overpowered offensively this week. And he's got a lot of slumping players at the same time. And I'm not sure what his outfield is at the moment. And I don't know if he knows what his outfield is, but it's just like a collection of guys that are either underperforming or, he added this Rooker guy who was hot for like a couple days, and Brandon Marsh and Harold Ramirez and Jesse Winker, who's kind of hurt. It's just like kind of a random collection. So hopefully he can put the pieces together and, make something of this of this offense, because I think that from a pitching perspective, Christian has a really, really great rotation.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if Wheeler is healthy and Burns and
Gilbert,
Logan Gilbert, I mean that's a solid 3 with Romano, and Jorge Lopez. Like he's got a great pitching staff.
Yeah.
But it's that offense is just like, if Contreras can get going, and if Abreu can get going, if Devers can get going, this could be a team. Verdugo, like.
Could be. Yeah.
There are pieces here that can carry you, but right now it's everybody, like you said, everybody's slumping at once.
Yeah, it's true. And for Bobby, I mean, good for him picking up a 14-5 win as opposed to like a 10-9 or a 8-8 like Bobby usually does.
And in a week of close matchups, like he took down a big win. Like that's something for him.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. You want everyone else around you like tying or getting close matchups, and then you just, can propel in the standings. So yeah, good for him. And I like his strategy of sort of getting to the 42 and then just sort of, calling it quits and playing it safe, especially if you got all these offensive categories in the bag. Like I said earlier, like why push it? There's no reason at this point in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna go from this whooping to one of those ties that we talked about, and we're gonna talk about Ari Nisman and Adam Lowenstein tying at 10-10.
Yep. All right. This was definitely a close one. We got Bump and Uglas versus Misfit Mets. This one was kind of back and forth all week, but like ending in a 10-10 tie just felt sort of appropriate. I like looking at some of these close categories, like the batting average was ridiculous.
I mean, like, I mean, here it is.
Yeah.
Like by point oh something or another.
Yeah, that's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
So close categories. Ari wins by the 1 RBI. He wins by the 1 error. He wins by that point whatever batting average. Two wins, I guess we can say, is close.
Yeah.
A save. Hey, good job, Ari.
Wow, look at that. Against 1-0.
1-0. One walk by the pitcher and a whip of .004.
Wow.
So very close categories there. And then Adam won by the 1 home run, the offensive home run, and the 1 loss. And they tied in home runs given up by a pitcher. And that's all they tied in. But man, if someone had given up 1 more home run, someone would have won this matchup here.
That's crazy.
Yeah, on the bench this week. Let's talk about Ari first. I don't know who to start with in a tie, but start with Ari.
Sure.
He went 13 for 50, which I think is pretty impressive for Ari.
Yeah.
4 runs, a double, a steal, and 13 strikeouts. So that's pretty impressive there.
Yeah. None of that plays.
None of that plays. And
I guess the average, depending on how it would fall out, but I mean, because the average being so razor thin, one way or the other could have, but
it's true. Yeah, exactly. Like both of them probably impacted the average in some way. Yeah, and the 13 strikeouts on the bench obviously like didn't play, but would have made it a little closer if those were all in there. So well done there.
That probably would have that actually probably would have affected the average too, right? Because every time you strike out, you're losing your points on your average. So
definitely. Yeah, one of those strikeouts would have flipped that average. Transactions, he made 0 moves this week.
That's very Ari.
So good for him. Let's highlight some of his players here. We're gonna go MVP. Let's highlight his catcher, Shea Langoliers. All right.
This kid.
Yeah, he hits 350 with a 409 on base, 4 runs, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, a walk, 5 strikeouts, and an error. Hey, you know what? He's gonna play every day. He's gonna get a shot. I liked him as a sleeper this year, so I'm glad to see
he tormented the Mets this weekend. 3 for 5 on Friday and 2 for 4 yesterday on Sunday. Yeah, I like this kid.
Yeah,
and his name is Shea. So
his name is Shea. Yeah, you're right about that. And let's talk about his worst hitter, his least valuable player. We got to go down to Josh Naylor here, who hits 056 with a 136 on base, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Yeah, that's not a good week.
No, he had 1 hit the entire week.
And he's continuing to hit cleanup for this team.
He's playing every day, and he's not scoring. He didn't score a single run the entire week.
Yeah. All right.
Wow.
I mean, we saw this guy get sort of tossed around the league last year, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him back on the waiver wire at some point, and then finding some new homes later on. But
yeah, especially you have Joey Meneses, who has literally the same position eligibility. I don't know that you need both of them necessarily, but
right. And your outfield is mostly set, right? Yeah.
I mean, you got Judge, Yoshida, and Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah. So at that point, I don't know. Maybe it's just he likes carrying that bench. So
that, yeah.
Yeah. On the pitching side of things, his Cy Young we will give to Luis Castillo, who had an awesome week: 13 innings, a win, 2 walks, 14 strikeouts, a 1.38 ERA, and an 0.77 WHIP. He did have a was it a perfect game or a no-hitter going
He had a
into?
no-hitter going. Yeah.
Yeah. He flirted with a perfect game, Jason.
He did flirt. He flirted with
He
a perfect
flirt.
game.
He flirted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's such a flirt.
Yeah. Such a flirt, that Luis Castillo. But yeah, he had an awesome week.
Yeah.
One game against the Cubs in Chicago, and then one game at home against the Rockies. Cy Yuck, we will give it to, I mean, he actually had a pretty good pitching week, but we're going to give it to Scott Barlow here, who went 2 2/3 innings. He took 2 losses, which is not what you want to see.
Mm.
A home run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, at 13.50 ERA, a 2.25 WHIP, and 3 relief appearances. I mean,
Wow.
at least he has Chapman there, so if Barlow loses this job,
Yeah. And Chapman's been pitching lights out. Like he
yeah,
hasn't given up a run yet.
12 strikeouts in 6 innings. He's found it. He's
Yeah.
discovered his stuff there. So
In the obscurity of Kansas City.
yes. All right, let's flip over here to Adam. On his bench, he goes 8 for 28, which is a 286 batting average, 3 runs, 5 doubles, 4 RBIs, and 4 strikeouts. The 4 RBIs, is that what plays here?
Yeah, that would play because Ari won by 1. Looks like looks like Saturday. Yeah, I think Saturday was the day.
Yeah.
Pulling it up here.
So he had who was it?
Oh,
Kyber Ruiz
Kyler
on the bench.
Ruiz. Yeah.
And he had Merrifield on the bench too. So that's 3 of the RBIs. Christian Vasquez doesn't do much in the catcher spot, and Gleyber Torres doesn't do much in second base. I'm not sure that you're necessarily benching Torres for Merrifield, but he has every outfield
Right.
eligible there.
I mean, give him credit for starting Mark Canha because as a Met fan, like I haven't seen much from Mark Canha that would want me to start him. But he was playing in his old Samba grounds in Oakland, and he did hit a home run that day. So I guess you have to give him credit for there. But yeah, the Ruiz start would have been nice.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the only thing that really plays here. Otherwise, like 8 for 28. Every other day there was nothing really eventful that happened. It's really just that Saturday where he went 4 for 8 on his bench.
That was it.
His transactions this week, some of which were sort of meaningless, but he added Ian Gabalt,
Goodbye.
Chris Bubik's cube, and he did pick up Mike Clevenger, who had a pretty decent start. He did walk 5 guys, but 5 strikeouts, 6 innings. He also added Yusei Kikuchi, but that was after his start. So
that's another trend I'm seeing I feel like I'm seeing it in fantasy baseball like everywhere, where people are picking up starters like the day after their start. And like, okay, well now you gotta wait 5 days to use them.
Yeah. It is a little strange. I will give you that. But I guess, if you have faith that this guy has the longevity to like do it, then it does make sense. But for me, like a Yusei Kikuchi is more of like a streamer or a spot starter.
Right. And especially his next start coming in Yankee Stadium. I probably wouldn't touch that.
Yeah, it's kind of tough there. But that's it. So it was only 4 ads, and all of it was pitching. So he felt pretty content with his offense. He's got a pretty full offense with a full bench, so I don't think he felt the need to really make any adjustments there.
Yeah.
Key players for the week offensively, let's give his MVP to Matt Olson. A 250 average, a 357 on base, 5 runs. He did get a triple. Good for you, Matt Olson. I had him for a full year. I don't think he hit 1 triple last year.
I'm sure he didn't.
2 homers, 6 RBIs, 4 walks, 12 strikeouts you don't love. But he kind of carried him as far as production goes.
Yeah, even with the 12 strikeouts, a 357 on base is still, still pretty decent. Usually you see that kind of strikeouts and you're seeing a 200 on base.
Yeah. The least valuable player, let's revisit Kyber Ruiz, who, like I said, we're seeing this trend where the guy doesn't do much when you're playing him, and then as soon as you bench him, that's when he goes off. So he hits 214 with a 313 on base, 2 walks, a strikeout, and an error, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. Let's going down to his pitching now. His Cy Young, will give it to Joe Ryan, who had an awesome start. 7 innings, a win. He did give up 1 home run, but he struck out 10. A 1.29 ERA and a .43 WHIP, and that start was against the Yankees.
And that wasn't Yankee Stadium. Look, his first start was against Kansas City, okay, but his last 2 starts were against Houston and the Yankees, and he's held his own against 2 high-profile offenses.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. And I liked this guy coming into this year, and so far so good here.
Yeah.
For his Cy Young, let's highlight another relief pitcher here. How about Andrew Bellotti? Relief appearances, 2 and 2/3 innings pitched, a home run, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, but a 16.88 ERA and a 3.38 WHIP. He had 2 kind of blow ups there.
Yep.
And I'm not sure what value this guy brings in a bullpen that already has 4 or 5 guys ahead of him.
Yeah, even if one of those guys gets hurt, like he's not moving up the pecking order unless all of them get hurt.
Right, and we don't really see that happening. So yeah, if we're gonna highlight any weakness on this team, it's got to be this bullpen.
Yeah, I like Karinchak, but that's about it.
Yeah,
Eric Swanson's good too, but there's nobody being saved here. Is the issue?
Right. Yeah, so I mean that's it. This was a close matchup. But neither of them went crazy with the ads, so it was a close matchup, and it was exciting to see it unfold, but it wasn't like chess. It wasn't like 2 guys like trying to work one over. Like there wasn't a ton going on here.
I do wonder if Adam regrets benching Yu Darvish on Sunday. He did get the loss, but the 7 innings, I guess the loss would hide the category, huh? Man, that's tough.
It is. I don't know if he regrets it, but I do know that I mean, the pitching categories there were a lot of things sort of up in the air, but you get the innings. You can't win wins, but you also risk giving up home runs, walks. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
That's tough. Like, he probably doesn't regret it, but it's such a tough decision.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, so that's it. Any other thoughts on this matchup here?
No, I'm curious to see where Adam goes from here. He's currently sits in 5th place. Ari sits in 4th. So we kind of know what to expect from Ari, although this year he's got a bullpen. But Adam, I'm interested to see where he goes from here.
Yeah, me too. And as far as like their standings go, I mean, it's just so early. It's hard to really analyze anything in terms of standings right now. So, but it's just interesting. These 2 are right next to each other at 4th.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Shall we move on?
Yes. And is it time for your matchup?
It is indeed another close matchup here.
Oh, I'm ready to take this one. All right. So
it's all yours.
Jason, you take down a 9-8 victory over Kostas this week. This was this really came down to it, huh?
It really did, and I honestly spent a lot of hours going, which way should I go? What should I do? Should I bench it? Not start? Where should I go? Should I pick him up? It was a very trying week, but I'm happy to just walk away with a win. Honestly.
Yeah, I think you and I had very mirrored parallel weeks this week where
Absolutely.
every single move was like, should I do this? Should I not? And it ended very close. I as someone that was following this all week, I think that you could have taken a bigger victory here. So are you disappointed with the 9-8? Because I know you were up a little bit bigger than this earlier in the week.
Yeah, I was. But again, Sunday, I didn't know. I was trying to think, should I start all my starters and try and go for the innings and go for a win? And it kind of paid off. It kind of didn't. Framber Valdez, I was really hoping for more. I was watching that. I was watching that start, and just as soon as that error happened, Jose Abreu just ruined everything, because I was hoping for a win from Valdez and a save from Ryan Presley, and that would have done a lot of good things. But it didn't happen. Obviously, the save didn't matter at this point. But going into Sunday, that's what I was hoping for, and it happens.
Yeah, it happens, and you still took the W, and that's what matters this early in the season. Close categories here. Let's get into it. You won by 4 walks. And that's about it there, Jason, as far as close categories go. Kostas won by 4 strikeouts by a batter. And his ERA and WHIP, I have to highlight those because they were so close on Sunday. So, yeah, it's a 0.17 ERA and a 0.09 WHIP. But, yeah.
And obviously we tied in everything. I feel like
doubles with 11, triples with 2, errors with 1, wins with 4, and that's it.
And it was the doubles, because obviously I had a pretty good offensive week. I was winning all the categories except doubles. I couldn't get doubles away from him, and that's what was killing me, because I was considering benching all my hitters, but I was kind of going for doubles. So somebody has to get a double, and it just wasn't happening. But on Sunday, here it is. At one point in the week, my ERA was so shot to hell that I was just like, I'll just start everybody, and I don't care about my ERA WHIP, because give me innings, give me wins, give me strikeouts, give me relief appearances, and I'll punt ERA and WHIP. And because at one point his ERA was 2 or something like that, and I was like, okay, fine. But it got closer as the week went on, and I was like, okay. So I wasn't gonna start Grayson Rodriguez, but I was like, all right, I'll start him, because again, I don't care about ERA. Just give me the innings. That game was delayed 3 hours or something like that, and he still managed to give 5 innings. So that was nice. I had the Bucco and the Detmers going, but Framber Valdez, this was the one that killed me, because this loss I did not want.
Yeah, I know, and that there was a lot riding on that game for a lot of people, but that's a heartbreaking one. All right, so on your bench this week, Jason, how do you think you did, just without looking at the numbers?
I feel like I did pretty good this week.
Yeah, so you went 10 for 41, which is a 244 average. You left 4 runs, 2 doubles, a home run, 2 RBIs, a steal, 2 walks, 13 strikeouts, and an error. And okay, I gotta ask you about this. So Friday night, you bench Christian Yelich and Eugenio Suarez, and you have left field and third base open.
Strikeouts. I was trying to avoid strikeouts.
Okay.
Which ended up not working, but at the time, strikeouts were really close. And again, I felt comfortable in all the rest of the offensive categories.
Okay.
Yelich and Suarez have been striking out a lot.
Okay.
So those are two guys that, and of course, Suarez struck out once, Yelich didn't strike out at all. Yelich hit a home run.
And he doubled.
Suarez walked, and doubled, and Suarez walked twice. So it's fantasy baseball. What are you gonna do? But
yeah, it's fantasy
that
baseball.
that was a thought process. And as soon as I saw Yelich, I was like, shit.
Yeah, but I mean so the two doubles are the only thing that really plays. I would say like the only thing that's scary there is that you, like you said, you had Yelich on the bench.
Yeah.
With left field open, but like, yeah, I get what you were doing. I get the mindset there.
Yeah.
Your transactions this week, you used all of your ads. You also completed that trade with yours truly, for Reed Detmers and Esteri Ruiz.
By the way, like, I don't know if you're giving him the MVP honors, but he had a really nice week. He had a nice weekend against the Mets. So thank you for that.
Yeah, hey, anytime. I did not give him MVP honors because you have a man named Austin Hayes on your team.
I do.
But we'll get to that in a second. And you parted ways with Clark Schmidt and AJ Puck.
Yep.
And your ads this week were 8 starters, 3 relievers, and a hitter. So
yeah,
it's clear what your strategy was.
Well, I just want to say, fuck you, Taylor Walls, because I pick him up and he's garbage, and then the next 2 days he like lights it up.
Yeah.
So
yep,
like, I hate this guy. I'm never touching Taylor Walls ever again.
Okay. That's what I say about Josh Fleming, but we always come back to him. We always come back.
Yeah, fair. Next week I'll be picking up Taylor Walls.
Yeah. All right, key players for you. We already mentioned him. Your MVP is absolutely Austin Hayes. You and I were texting about him like during the week about how he could be the next like budding superstar. He scored 11 runs this week. He hit for a 467 average of 500 on base, 3 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. He did everything for you this week.
Yeah, and when he hit that triple on Saturday, I definitely did a little happy dance. I'm not gonna lie, because that ended up tying the category, and
yes,
I was pretty thrilled about that.
Yeah. Yep. Your least valuable player, I'm sorry, I have to give it to him. It's Christian Yelich, and it's because of what we talked about. You benched him because he was playing horribly, and then he goes off on the bench. But like the rest of his week, he went 3 for 21 with 10 strikeouts. So like 3 runs. Yeah, he had 3 runs, 2 RBIs, 2 steals, 2 walks, but like
the 10 strikeouts. That's why I benched him.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it really does. All right, moving on to the pitching here. But yes, let's shout out to Ruiz up there. So good job, buddy.
Yeah, I love this kid.
Yeah, because my guys didn't really do anything. But anyway, your Cy Young, let's give it to Framber Valdez. He threw 13 innings. The win, the loss. I know that was heartbreaking on Sunday, but he at least still pitched really well all week. The 7 walks is not what you like, but
that's him. Like
that's who he is.
He'll strike out the world and he'll walk the world.
Yeah. 13 innings, a win, a loss, a home run, 7 walks, 12 strikeouts, a 2.08 ERA, and a 1.08 WHIP. For your least valuable or your Cy Yuck, I couldn't really pick anyone. I picked 3 guys. Cole Irvin, who is no longer on your team.
No.
Chris Sale, who is still on your team, who I'm curious as to like how long that leash is. I know you're not going to just straight up drop Chris Sale, but he doesn't look anything like the Chris Sale that we.
No, I mean the strikeouts have been nice, but like, yeah, I'm probably not starting him in this start against Minnesota, and he'll probably throw 7 shutout innings.
Probably, yeah, probably. And then Ryan Presley, I want to just highlight not because of that like 81 ERA. I mean, it was a third of an inning, but like this guy could not get into a game all week.
No.
And like,
and that's why I was really hoping that he would come in on Sunday and do something. But the Astros have been kind of shitty this season so far. I mean, it's early still, but like,
I'm
yeah,
okay
they
with
just
it.
have not been good, and he's part of that.
Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with that. But yeah, so that is that's what
and yeah, you called it out. The Cole Irvin start really pissed me off
yeah.
because like that was against Oakland, his old team. Like I
Yep.
really was hoping for more from that, and I watched that game and just watched him get torn apart, and it was really frustrating.
Yeah, you and I had the same sort of strategy there because I had picked up Dean Kramer the day before because I was like, oh God, this Oakland lineup. And then he like gave up 4 or 5 runs. I was like, what is this?
And also Matt Strom,
yeah,
he had a really good start against Miami, and so I kept him for the start in Cincinnati, and that did not go well either.
no, that
And
was a
now he's
rough
hurt.
one. But he also, I think part of it is because he had that cut on his finger.
Yeah.
So he just wasn't himself, but still, I mean, yeah, that was rough.
Yeah.
All right, let's flip over to Kostas here. Kostas on his bench this week goes 5 for 17, which is a 294, 3 runs, a homer, 7 RBIs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. The only thing I'm going to point out here is he had some trouble getting Alejandro Kirk into his lineup. Which I know he's been trying to trade him. But this is what happens when you draft 2 catchers. You know, I mean, Real Muto is the guy, and then what do you do if you have JD Martinez, who's only utility eligible?
There it is.
What do you do with Kirk?
Right.
And
and we called it out in the draft review. Like this is just a very interesting roster construction because those 3 guys, you're never gonna get all 3 of them in the lineup together. So who do you bench?
And here's the thing though, I understand the strategy behind rostering 2 catchers because you don't want to have those off days, but at the same time, he had to spend a high value pick on Kirk. And that's where I asked the question, like, could he have gotten somebody else in the 11th round since he already had Real Muto? Like, that's where it was confusing to me.
Right. And he and I talked about it, like, during the week about how, it was frustrating for him trying to figure out which catcher to start, and who to get in, who to sit. And I mean, look at, Remuto had a great week. And, it's tough. It's really tough.
Right. And I don't think you can look at any catcher across MLB and say, I'm going to start that guy over Real Muto. I just don't think it's ever going to happen.
Right. I mean, and he actually had 2 days off this week, which is kind of rare. Like, I feel like he plays like 6 days a week.
Yeah.
So, but like he plays every day. So it's not like, I mean, even like Kirk, that they don't play Kirk every day. Like even as a DH, like he's got a lot of red X's here. He hits a lot. So yeah.
So none of those offensive bench stats played at all, but I just wanted to sort of mention that logjam just because it's not going to get much easier. I mean, he's getting Tatis back, but he also lost Stan. So I think you can say bye-bye to Bryce Terang at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
But I guess now this outfield is looking like it needs a boost with Stanton out and Rosario potentially hurt, and McCarthy had a rough week, so we'll see.
I think it's really gonna depend on how Tatis comes back. Like, if is he gonna need an adjustment period, or is he Tatis?
Yeah, and he's been tearing it up in the minors. So
Yeah, he has.
I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah.
He did make 8 ads this week, 3 relief pitchers, 3 starting pitchers, and 2 hitters. So very balanced approach there with his ads. I'm not sure if he was chasing categories or if he was just, short on some players for some weeks, but for some matchups. But it seems like his offensive bench is pretty filled out here. So
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure where he was going with his ads.
yeah, I know he added the guy from Minnesota, the second baseman.
Yeah, who I was eyeing him, but I wanted to give him some time to see if he's real or not, and it seems like maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, if he's hitting leadoff, I guess that's appealing, right? But he still has to be a good hitter. So oh
Very
yeah,
true. Yeah, very true. Very true.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
absolutely.
All right. All right. Hold on, I'm stuck.
Uh-oh.
Pause it.
Oh, I'm glad you're unstuck now.
Yeah, I'm unstuck now. Oh, that was fun. All right. So I guess we can get back into things. Kostas used 8 of his ads. And yeah, we were talking about that kid from Minnesota, but let's move on to his key players here. How about that?
Let's do that.
So for his MVP this week, you talked about him before, and we talked about him extensively, but it's JT Realmuto.
Yeah.
Who, had a nice week. It was nothing tremendous, but it was something that warrants, an everyday start. So he goes 304 with a 292 on base. I don't know how that works. 2 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 4 RBIs, 0 walks, and 6 strikeouts.
That's how that happens.
Yeah, I guess so. Also, I am watching Kyle Freeland get absolutely destroyed right now, and I'm pretty upset about it, but it is what it is. And I lose focus. So his least valuable player also is something that makes me really annoyed. His least valuable player is Freddie Freeman. Why does that make me annoyed? Because this guy absolutely murdered me the week before. And this week against you, he goes 3 for 25 with 3 runs, an RBI, and 9 strikeouts. Oh, and let's also talk about Jake McCarthy, who does absolutely nothing all week and lights it up against me the week before.
I mean, I guess they just like you better.
I guess so. Oh, you know what? Let's also highlight JD Martinez, who strikes out 9 times and hits 158 with a 238 on base, who the week before tore it up.
But what business does JD Martinez have hitting a triple? When does JD Martinez hit a triple?
Yeah, 0 business.
No.
I agree with that. He has 0 business doing that. But at the same
And
time,
it was in San Francisco, so I get it, but still, no.
Yeah. But I mean, Rojas at least had a good week again. So there's that. But this just felt like it was a punch in the face a little bit.
And hey, LeMahieu had a good week too.
LeMahieu had a great week.
He didn't play a whole lot, but when he did play, he hit.
Yeah. Flipping over to the pitching side of things now, we've got his Cy Young is no question Zach Gallen, who I'm sure annoyed the crap out of you all week. 13 2/3 innings. He does get those 2 wins, 1 walk, and 18 casual strikeouts with no earned runs. 0.44 whip.
I mean, what? Now against San Diego, I've watched him get just his ass kicked.
Yeah, but Milwaukee and Miami, I mean, those were pretty impressive. So I guess the the universe countered it because this guy was awful against me. The first great against you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and this start on Sunday was against Alcantara, who was not good. So it was interesting to see. I'll be honest, I underestimated this guy, but maybe he's a real ace. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Speaking of garbage, let's talk about his Cy Yuck, who had an awesome week against me and then was terrible for 2/3 of an inning against you, Johnny Brito. 2/3 of an inning, a loss, a 94.50 ERA, a 10.50 WHIP. That was, I had to turn that off like in the middle of the first inning, and that's rare that I'm turning a Yankee game off in the middle of the first inning, but it was unwatchable. And
it's got to be double whammy for Kostas also, Yankee fan, and having this guy get pounded against me.
Yeah. He reached out to me in the middle of it, and he was like, what do you think about Brito? Is it over? Is the the excitement over? And I don't know. Obviously, I think he's going to get more chances, and he's got to experience this, right? He has to experience these sort of hiccups and bumps in the road. But I guess we just hope that he's not another Davy Garcia, and he's not another, Clark Schmidt or whatever.
Right. I mean, he's not going to throw 5 shutout innings every start. So he's going to have to, he's going to have to wear it sometimes. And that's what makes you a big league pitcher,
Yeah, you're right. So that was his Cy Yuck. He mostly had pretty decent pitching. Alek Manoah is a little concerning right now because he didn't have a great week against me. It doesn't look like he had a great week against you. He was very wild.
He's been terrible. He's a 70 ERA. He had a good start against Kansas City, which who doesn't? But then he got lit up by Detroit. That's troubling.
Yeah, very troubling.
I do also want to call out Brad fucking Boxberger because I picked up Brandon Hughes going into Sunday. He came out the IL, and this Cubs Dodgers series was like, except for Friday, but like Saturday and Sunday was like really close.
Yeah.
And I watched the end of Saturday's game when Michael Fulmer blew the save, and I went, okay, they're not going to Fulmer for the 9th if there's a save on Sunday. Maybe they'll go to Brandon Hughes because I know he was like supposed to be in the mix. And nope, he didn't even pitch. It went to Brad fucking Boxberger. Thanks a lot, Dave Ross.
I know. But I also fresh off the IL, I feel like throwing this guy into the fire like that would have been rough, but I get it.
You gotta win your ball games,
Yeah,
put your best guy out there. But and so he did get, he got 2 saves on Sunday, which kind of just threw everything out the window.
Yeah. Yep. But all said and done, you take down the victory. Definitely this was a fun one to follow. And this was just one of those really, really tight that we talked about earlier, like coming down to the wire matchups. And I'm proud of you for taking it down, but I'm sure it was stressful.
It was very stressful. It was a stressful week in general, and then this added more stress to it. But you know what? I'm glad to be a part of it. And again, I'm happy to just walk away with a win and move on to the next week.
Yeah. Awesome.
Speaking of coming down to the wire, let's talk about your matchup, sir.
All right,
tell me how you feel after this crazy win.
Oh man, I'm excited to talk about this one. This was I was losing badly the entire week, and I think I texted you guys. Do you remember what I texted you at the beginning of the week?
You're like, this is like the worst team I've ever put together or something like that.
So this is the worst fantasy team I've ever drafted. I was ready to throw in the towel. I was ready to give up on the year. I called it a 2017 repeat. Where I don't even, I don't get out of the basement the whole year. Okay, it was an overreaction. We can say that.
Yeah.
And I've got some guys coming back, but Frank really fought his butt off. The two of us were in contact throughout the week. I feel bad because he texted me on Sunday and he was winning still. It's like 10-9. He was winning 10-9 when he texted me, and he was like, man, I've never beat you before, and this is going to be the first time I've ever beaten you in a head-to-head matchup.
Oh, cursed it.
And then Marcus Semien comes up, hits a grand slam, and then gets another single later on, and batting average flips. And it all comes down to that last AB.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
And I was losing ERA and WHIP all week. And then I had this incredible Sunday, and he had kind of a rough Sunday.
I'm gonna pull that up because you're right. Sunday was just wild. Here we are. Yeah, you threw 13 2/3 innings, got 3 wins, gave up 1 home run, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts, a .66 ERA, and a .73 WHIP with 1 relief appearance on Sunday. Like, you couldn't have asked for anything better.
That's with benching Heaney too. So if I had played him, that would have even been better numbers there. But at that point, I was so thrilled with a 10-9 victory that I was fine. I was perfectly fine.
And I mean, you get a win from Nick Anderson. I feel like you kind of just fall into that, and we'll get to it. But the Miley Smiley pairing was just great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm feeling good about it. But if you want to.
Yeah, let's dive in. Let's dive in here. Obviously, again, you take down the 10-9 win. Close categories, you win by 2 homers by the batter, .004 on the average, 3 wins and 2 relief appearances. And Frank wins by 1 steal, 1 loss, and 3 walks by a pitcher and 4 strikeouts by the pitcher, which is interesting because you mentioned Andrew Heaney, but Andrew Heaney walked 3 guys. So, it's interesting. Do you have any regrets looking back at not starting Heaney?
No, I don't, because ERA and WHIP. ERA was too close for me to risk playing a guy that's going to implode against the Astros. I just didn't feel good about it. Sure, he wound up throwing 5 shutout innings, but I don't know. I don't regret it.
Yeah, so no regrets on benching Heaney against the Astros, which, honestly, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking if I'm picking Andrew Heaney up that week, I'm not starting him against the Astros. That's probably the mentality going into it, right?
Right. It was an insurance policy to have in my back pocket that I had a starter for that 7:08 Sunday night game.
Yep.
And that's all it was. And I was very close in strikeouts, and I knew that I was gonna have to make a really tough decision. But as soon as I don't remember what happened with him on Sunday, but somebody imploded. I think it was actually Aaron Bummer, who came in for the White Sox and then in a 4-4 tie, and I think he gave up a bunch of runs to the Orioles.
We'll talk about Aaron Bummer.
Yeah, took the loss and just ballooned his ERA and WHIP, and to the point where I was like, I can't start Heaney.
Yeah. Go through your bench stats here. Okay, you asked me, how do you feel like you did on the bench?
Mediocre.
A little bit worse than that. You went 10 for 28, which is a 357 average. Okay. 4 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, 4 walks, which would have flipped the category, but you need to be perfect, and 6 strikeouts. So none of it plays, but wasn't your best average.
No, not ideal.
You used 11 ads. We talked about Herman. we talked about the Smiley Miley combination on Sunday, which was just magnificent.
Mm.
I don't know. Any other year ads you want to hit on? I see you did drop Clark Schmidt.
Yeah, I did, but I added Jonah Heim after Travis Darno got hurt. I'm really
Yep.
happy with that because Garver is hurt, so Jonah Heim's getting full playing time in the middle of that Texas lineup, hitting 5th or 6th every day. Also, I'm a little bit shocked that Rowdy Tellez was just like dropped kind of after a week?
Yeah, well, and that was Frank. And I think he just had trouble getting him into the lineup. You have Goldschmidt every day. So so he's basically a utility bat at that point. I mean, I guess you're gonna have the same thing with Vlad, right? So it's gonna be just figuring out when to play him, when not to play him.
Yeah, and you know what? He's gonna hold down the fort until Harper gets back.
Yeah.
And then I may not need Rowdy Tellez anymore, but it's just like it's a big bat to just be hitting the waivers like this early in the season. So
Yeah. Your key players. This was tough. There were a couple of good options here, but I'm giving to Cedric Mullins because of that Sunday.
yeah.
I mean, and look, he had a great week aside from the Sunday. 348 average, 516 on base, 3 runs, a double, a triple, 7 RBIs, 4 steals, 8 walks, and 6 strikeouts. I mean, that's an amazing week.
Yeah, it was amazing. And that Sunday triple was like,
yeah,
I was watching it happen and I was like, go. And it, like, to make it even better, it was against Dylan Cease, who Frank had. So it was just one of those moments,
Yeah, it was a great day, great week. Correa woke up for you. Nolan Gorman had another good week. Like you had a really good offensive week. Except for Jose Miranda, who hit 214 on base, 1 run, 1 double, 2 RBIs, and a strikeout.
I don't think I played him very much.
Yeah, probably not, but he really didn't do well anyway. And but I mean, again, it's kind of nitpicking because like even Andrew McCutchen like didn't have a great average on base, but he got you a steal, got you 3 RBIs and a home run, walked 4 times. So like he still had a decent week even with the poor rate stats.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a overall good offensive week from you.
Yeah, pieces are starting to come together. I'm glad I finally parted ways with Oscar Colas. He was fun at the beginning of the season, but he doesn't fit right now. So
yeah, he's not really doing a whole lot there in Chicago, which nobody in Chicago really is, but he's definitely not doing much at all.
No.
On the pitching side, Cy Young, Wade Miley, 7 shutout innings, a win, 8 strikeouts. What a pickup! Like off the scrap heap, he was terrible for Kostas earlier in the week, and you reap the benefits, right? So.
Yeah, and he and Drew Smiley were sitting there against the Padres and the Dodgers in those ballparks, and no one wanted to touch him. And I was like, I feel pretty good about this for some reason.
Because honestly, both the Dodgers and the Padres have not been like what they were supposed to be so far. So
yeah.
If there's ever a chance, every time to take a chance, it's now.
Yeah, agreed.
Except for throwing Roansy Contreras in Colorado, that didn't work out. Or was that against Houston? Which one was that? That was the Houston start. Yeah, 3 1/3, a loss, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, 18.90 ERA, and a 3.90 WHIP. And then he goes on and has a great start against St. Louis.
Yeah.
Looking over to Frank on his bench, wasn't much better. He goes 11 for 33, which of course is a 333 average, 13 runs, a double, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. It's the 2 homers that would have tied the category. Basically, it came down to he had trouble with Cody Bellinger and Gunnar Henderson because the 2 home runs came on the 12th and the 16th, and one was Bellinger, one was Henderson, and he just could not figure out how to get these two guys into the lineup with everybody else. The Sunday was really particular for me because he picked up Brian Anderson, who went over 3 with an RBI and a strikeout, while Henderson goes. I think he went like 2 for 4 or something like that with 3 runs. Cody Bellinger had a home run. Like, I don't know, it was just a rough benching on Sunday for Frank. The Brian Anderson thing didn't really make sense to me. In San Diego against Yu Darvish, like I didn't understand that pickup.
Yeah, I don't know either. I do want to mention one thing about the weekend for Frank. I was you know the game that we all play every week. Like, okay, this category is in the bag. I got this. We're good. I'm gonna let me tack on now. I was up 6-1 in stolen bases going into Saturday. 6-1.
Yes. Yep.
And then he steals 6 bases between Saturday and Sunday. Not to mention benching Bellinger, so that would have been his 7th stolen base in 2 days.
Yeah.
Saturday was stupid.
I mean, Paul Goldschmidt had a stolen base. Donovan had 2. Brian Reynolds, Cody Bellinger. Yeah.
So he tied it on Saturday with those 5 steals, and I was
5
like,
steals.
okay. So I guess I can't even get that category with 6 steals. And then of course Lindor, who like tears the shit out of me this week, like is the one to make that final steal on Sunday.
Yeah, which made me happy, but made you not happy. And but I maybe this is like how it's going to be now, right? With the new rules, the new bases, like having a 6-1 advantage in stolen bases on Saturday maybe doesn't mean anything anymore.
Crazy.
I know. That just sounded crazy as I said it.
Maybe winning by 6 steals on Saturday means nothing. I guess not.
This is new. This is new baseball.
Yeah. You're right.
His ads. So he used 8. We talked about Brian Anderson. The Saturday was an interesting day, and I know we talked about that. He adds J.D. Davis, who had a great Saturday, 2 for 4 with a 2-run home run, 3 RBIs. But then he adds Phil Maton and Gabe Spire, so he's chasing some relief appearances there. But then he also drops Diego Castillo for Elias Diaz after William Contreras' game had already started and he was out of the lineup. So then he drops Diaz and picks up Trevor Gott, who is also on the Mariners. He didn't get into the game, but Castillo did. So Saturday was just a weird day for Frank.
Saturday was a weird day. The Elias Diaz is still something that baffles me a bit with Contreras in there, and his game had finished already, and he didn't start. And then he drops. I don't know. I was a little confused, a little befuddled.
I was definitely befuddled. And then he also picked up Adbert Alzolay, your old friend, and he was not good. 13.50 ERA in 2/3 of an inning on Sunday. So, he his ads were kind of up and down. Some worked out and some didn't.
Yeah,
that's just how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes. And Frank, I'm gonna play you again this year. I mean, it's gonna happen. So you could get that head-to-head victory. I'm sure it'll happen. If not this year, definitely sometime soon. And you were so close this week. It's always a pleasure competing against you, Frank.
Absolutely. And I'm facing him this week, so I'm excited to see what he brings to the table against me. His key players, I'm going to hit on Kyle Schwarber, old friend of mine. 348 average, a 531 on base with 8 runs, 3 doubles, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 9 walks, and 6 strikeouts. So he sees your Cedric Mullins and raises you Kyle Schwarber.
and a Lindor.
And Lindor. Yeah, I really wanted to give it to Lindor because obviously the 11 RBIs, but like, just I don't know, that 531 on base just stood out to me as just like, what the fuck.
Oh yeah, it felt like Schwarber was on base all week, every single at bat. Yeah.
Um, and on the pitching side, for the Cy Young, fresh off a new contract extension, Pablo Lopez, 13 and 2/3, did take the loss, gave up 1 home run, 2 walks, 17 strikeouts, a 263 and a .88 whip. And these were against the White Sox and then the start in Yankee Stadium, which was not a bad start for, Yankee Stadium. So it's just another tough luck loss.
Yeah. He went up against Cole.
Yeah. What are you gonna do there?
Yeah. Who is his least valuable player?
Oh, at least yeah. He was so unvaluable. We didn't even talk about him. But it's gonna be Brian Reynolds. The guy had such a huge heater at the opening week, and now this week he hit a .192 with a 185 on base, 1 run, 1 RBI, a steal, and 3 strikeouts. He kind of just vanished. Like he was on another planet to start the season, and now he can't find the baseball.
Yeah. I lucked out with that one. Dodged a bullet.
Yeah, absolutely. How he came into the week, absolutely.
Yes.
And then more yuck. You mentioned Aaron Bummer. The Cy Young, 2 innings, a loss, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 22.50 ERA, and a 3.50 WHIP over 4 relief appearances. Including that Sunday where it was just not good at all.
Yeah. That was the difference maker right there.
Yeah. So now that puts you out of the basement. You are in 13th, and it puts Frank in the basement at 16th. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel okay. I'm still waiting for some of my key pieces. Musgrove is coming back this week.
Yep.
Verlander and Soroka are very close. Soroka is pitching in the minors and he's looking good. And all of his issues were not arm related, and he was an ace when he was on the field.
Yeah.
Granted, it was a few years ago, but I'm psyched if I can get Verlander, Soroka, Musgrove all back and pair him with Kirby and Flaherty. I'm really happy with that rotation.
Yeah. Especially like now, like get it back now.
Yeah.
And you have them hopefully for the the bulk of the season.
Yeah. And I'm hearing that Harper is going to come back sooner rather than later. He's going to skip his rehab assignment. And
really?
Yeah, hopefully.
And he's apparently getting reps at first base.
Yes, he is.
That could be interesting.
Yeah. So I'm getting healthy. I'm waiting on Darno as kind of, he's in concussion protocol, so hopefully he comes back soon. But this team is getting healthy, and it's only week 3, so I'm feeling good about what's to come, I think.
Here's your live breaking update on Justin Verlander. He schedules to throw another bullpen session tomorrow. That would be Tuesday, followed by live batting practice and a rehab start in the ensuing days. So he could, that schedule could have Verlander ready to make his Mets debut by end of next week.
I will take that.
Yes, you will, and so will I. I will take that too.
Yes, I'm sure.
Bring this man back.
Yes. No, so yeah, feeling good, getting healthy. That's what it's all about.
Great.
Yeah.
So manager of the week, what do you got?
All right. So my number 3 manager of the week. Man, we didn't really talk about the matchups, all of them.
Nope.
I guess I'm gonna give it to one of our co-hosts in Joe this week, taking a 13-7 win over my brother. And I know Joe's been dealing with some injury issues with Seager, Jock Peterson, Robbie Ray, Glasnow, waiting on Altuve. So he's dealing with some issues. But to still pull off a 13-7 victory over a great manager is impressive. So hats off to Joe.
And I'm also giving it to Joe. And I did watch this matchup, and he also led the entire week. Like it got a little close. but he pretty much went on cruise control. He knew what he needed to do. He did the Joe thing. The one thing I want to call out to him, and because I did research on his matchup, and Taylor Rogers, this dude, he had 3 relief appearances. He pitches 2/3 of an inning over 3 relief appearances.
Oh,
67.50 ERA, a 9 WHIP, 2 losses, 5 walks in 2/3 of an inning. I just had to shout that out because that's
right.
That's got to be some sort of record.
What do you do? Do you drop him? You're right. That is a staggering statistic there.
Yeah. I just could not believe that. So
yeah.
All right, who's your number 2 manager of the week?
Oh man, this is where things just get tough here. There's so many close matchups.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's give it to Mike Sherman here. Taking a 13-8 victory over McCloskey here. And looking at his matchup here, McCloskey hit 12 home runs and 55 RBIs in a 7-day week. And Mike Sherman still takes down a 13-8 victory, which is just incredibly impressive and scares me a bit for playing against both of these guys. But
yeah, I feel like they kind of fly under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but very impressive, this takedown here. And McCloskey's been awesome. Like, he's been very, very active on the waiver wire and adding guys, and
yes,
and it's so that Sherman like really competed his butt off to compete with that. So
yeah,
hats off.
Yeah, good call. I'll give my number 2 to you, dude. That comeback you pulled off was just a thing of beauty. Against a manager like Frank, I feel like you kind of took him to school a little bit, especially that Sunday. The Smiley Miley duo was great. Obviously a little bit of luck because you kind of ran into that Semien grand slam at the end, but you did what you had to do, and you pulled it out. So in a week of close matchups to come out on top of yours is hats off to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, my friend. All right, number 1. Do we have the same number 1?
Do we? In a week of close matchups?
Well, mine is Bobby.
Yep. In a week of close matchups, you take down a 14-5 victory, you get manager of the week.
yeah. Hats off, Bobby. We already talked about your matchup earlier, but you killed it. And here's to hoping that you stay above that 8 seed.
Yep. Stay out of that Bob spot, and make the playoffs, dude. Make the playoffs.
Yep. Also want to give a shout out to my buddy Matt Olson, who is still in first place. Barely hanging on there, but still in first after 2 weeks. So I will clap it up for him.
Gotta soak it in while you can.
Exactly. All right.
I think that'll put a bow on week 2. Dude, it's been 2 weeks and both have been just equally as exciting. And we still have a long way to go, but I just feel the excitement. Like I'm ready for this season to really get going.
Yeah, me too. I'm so excited about it. Excited to keep doing these review shows with you every week. This has been awesome.
Absolutely. It's actually been real, and it's been fun, and as always, real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time, guys.